all, Stacy the Black Feather Intuitive, and welcome to Divinely Decked Tarot and Oracle Reviews done Stacy style. And today we are exploring the astrological sign of Cancer and what tarot and oracle decks really connect from my deck that I see as being really great embodiment of those astrological signs. And you can watch this if you are a Cancer for your sun, moon, rising, your Mars or Venus, or if you've got a Cancer in your life that you absolutely love and adore. This is a video for you. So without further ado, let's get to it and explore the three decks that I have chosen to kind of embody that Cancerian energy. So the first one that I've chosen here is the Tarot of the Divine. This is Yoshitani. This is a very famous one, so a lot of people will recognize it. So let's talk about Cancer a little bit first. Cancers really are about the home and the hearth, nurturing. They love and they love fiercely, and they get very upset when they are not seen and heard and recognized for the part that they play. They are all about creating a beautiful environment, creating a home environment, creating an environment where people can feel nourished and loved and nurtured, can feel supported in going out and doing, you know, whatever it is that they want to do in their life. And Cancers really are excellent at doing that. This particular guidebook has color, and a small short description of each of the cards, which I think is really helpful because the Tarot of the Divine is all about folklore and fairy tale. And so I'll admit some of these images, I don't know the folklore, the fairy tale right off the hop. Some of them, it makes total sense to me. Other times it doesn't. I love that it's multicultural. So it's not just North American culture, English culture. You know, we learn about Asian culture, Indian culture. There's the indigenous in Australia that is reflected in here, you know, Egyptian, European. So, you know, everything is in here. So every once in a while I use the book when I'm tapping into this deck. But for the most part, I just read it. It's based on the Rider-Waite-Smith Tarot, and I just love the imagery. So when we're looking at this particular deck here, when we're talking about Cancerian energy, this deck I feel provides a lot of I feel invited into this card and invited into this deck. First of all, it shows the moon, and Cancer is ruled by the moon. So I need to point that out as well. It's even got the phases of the moon on the back of the cards, which I think is great. But also the color choices here, I feel are reflective of the way that we see the world, even in the moonlight, you know, and yes, this is a daytime depiction, but I also feel like the colors are not overpowering, and it feels like we're connecting to that moon energy. I also love that the images depicted and the people depicted, you can really feel their desire to kind of get it right, their desire to connect, their desire to understand their role and their place on this wild ride called life. And so I really feel like any of the Cancers that I have connected to and that I have met, they're very much about their people, being in service to their people. You know, they get irritated because they are based on their, I want to say, their emotional state. Sometimes they can, you know, be in flux in that way, and they have a more of a challenge in grounding things in, which I think is why they are so good at creating an environment that can be nourishing to other people. Typically, the Libra astrology sign indicates a flair for interior design and things like that. The Cancer has a lot of that too. It's just in a different way. So, you know, not everything is going to be perfect and in its place, but when you go into a Cancer's home, you're going to feel welcomed. You're going to feel warm and included in it, you know, even just right down to the fact that, okay, if there are some clothes on the floor, they're going to say, listen, just don't mind the mess, make yourself at home. And there's, I want to say, some comfort in that. So I feel also like Cancerians, when it comes to this particular deck, you feel everything. You feel all sorts of things. And if we take a peek here, 10 of coins, you're seeing a lot of smiling faces, happy faces here, even including the dog. 7 of coins here, we're seeing a big, fire here. We're seeing individuals that maybe aren't necessarily agreeing on what is coming up here, or maybe there needs to be a little bit of discussion on, distribution of wealth, how things are going on in here. 6 of coins, we're seeing there's a story here. We have a beautiful kitty cat who's supporting their person, supporting their human. We've got a lot of these little scarab beetles, kind of indicating that there's something that is transitioning here. There's a transformation that is occurring. This is a happy thing because they've grown. This individual has created a healthy, safe space for these critters to get fully grown and to find their happy place. And now she's letting them out so that they can go and do their thing. This is very much that Cancer energy. You also hear homebody energy when you're connecting to Cancer, the sign of Cancer. And this deck gives me a sense of home. I pull this deck out very often when I'm wanting something that is going to bring me a little more comfort, still with accurate guidance, but where I feel like I'm being what's the word I'm looking for? Like I feel like I'm encased, like I'm supported in a cup. It's that cup where not anything can get in there unless I'm asking for it, and that there's this level of protection that is coming up and coming through. I love the moon card. So this, of course, is the image on the box. And this is the Cancer card. This is exactly how it is. And yes, we have, 2 pillars, the hint of pillars that are being expressed here. And she's looking at the moon. She has her back to us. Her hair is long and flowing, and we're seeing a reflection of the moon in the water. There are 2 raccoons instead of the wolf and the dog, or the 2 wolves or the 2 dogs, depending on what deck you're looking at. We have these 2 raccoons that are supporting her in this regard. And it is reflection. It is the secretive, the mystery, the unknown. The things aren't always what they seem. And that really is reflective when we're talking about, Cancer energy. Your emotions run deep, but your emotions are not always true. Emotions are neither true nor false. They simply are. And I feel like that's always kind of a struggle for Cancers, is to recognize that, okay, what I'm feeling right now doesn't need to inform my choices moving forward necessarily, because what I'm feeling right now isn't true or false. I just need to kind of sit in that a little bit in order to figure out how to ground that. What do I want to do with that feeling or that emotion? How do I want to shift that up and make it work for me? So this is a deck I feel that does that, especially because each card story represents a different fable or folklore. So it gives you, direct action steps that you can take to be able to enact the message of the card itself. Cancers really have leadership in a more of a divine feminine way. And this deck, I feel, exudes that. That the messaging, even in those harsher divine masculine cards, it's delivered in a divine feminine way. It's definitely, I want to say, it feels like it's got that. And I don't know if Yoshitani is a typically a divine feminine name or a divine masculine name, but this has a very divine feminine approach and a divine feminine message to it, just in general. And I feel like even if you're a male Cancer watching this, I'm not saying that, there's no divine masculine in you. Of course there is, but I feel that you also can be more in touch with your feelings and emotions. And it's up to you how you want to use that. Do you want to use it to throw it around, throw your weight around, or, to ignore everybody or whatever? Or do you want to use it to, I want to say, bring the gentler, divine feminine wisdom to the table, bringing a softer approach, a unique approach to what the challenge is, whatever your guidance is. So yes, I feel like this deck speaks Cancerian language. Again, the coloring, it's a beautiful quality. It's that lovely linen cardstock. It shuffles beautifully. The messaging, you get the message from it. It doesn't evade the question or the situation. It gives you what you need, but it gives it to you in a way that you can receive. So, cancers, even if you are in that state or that space in your life where you're like, I've had all I can stands and I can't stands no more, this is a deck that you can absolutely lean into, to get the messaging across, to get what you need without feeling that you're stirred up again, that you're activated again, or that you're frustrated, or you're mad, or you're hurt again. This is a deck that I feel really is going to cater to your needs, from an energetic standpoint. So I love this deck, the Tarot of the Divine. And I am, Cancer is my midheaven. And so I'm, always looking for ways to understand that Cancerian point in placement in my chart, to understand why I'm here. And that midheaven is always connected to our career path, and our purpose, what we're really here to do on the earth. And so I love the Tarot of the Divine for that. So it kind of helps me to connect in that way. Now we have I want to do the second tarot deck here. So Everyday Women Tarot. This is a brand new deck to me. I've had it for about 3 weeks now. And this was the one that was really calling out to me when I was looking into, okay, what are the decks in my collection that really represent that Cancer energy? And Everyday Women, I mean, let's just look at the cover for a second. She's at home. She's wrapped in a warm blanket. She's got warm tea. She's got her eyes closed. She's meditating. It's at night. There's a firelight. So she doesn't even have, I want to say, she doesn't have like the lights turned on. She is doing her deep dive evaluation work by the light of the fire. And I think everything about this just screams to me Cancer energy. This is a deck that, like I said, it's new to me, but I've already discovered it's very nurturing. It's very much the kind of deck that you go to for everyday occurrences, everyday guidance messages, because that's exactly what it's really catering to. And you can slap on a title onto anything. And like at the end of the day, does it really match what the essence of the deck is? And in this case, it absolutely does. And it does so in such a way, and you'll see in the imagery, it does so in such a way that you can see yourself in the images of these characters. You've lived it yourself. So first of all, I love the imagery. The back of the card here, we have the indigenous, the Native American feel. We have third eye energy here, lots of symbology, sacred geometry happening. It's bordered. It's reversible if you like to read reversals. Again, soft rose petal, delicious to work with, very comforting, nurturing, feels like home. The imagery, even here, the emperor often comes across as, like badass, gonna kick your ass kind of energy. And here we have a gentler side of the emperor who's very confident, knows who he is, knows what he's here to do, but he's not, he's working with someone younger here, and he's not here to, I want to say, to be in competition, to beat the pants off her. He's here to be teaching. And he's not going to necessarily let her win, but he also is really reflective of the role that he's playing here. And I love that. I love that energy here. We have 10 of pies. So I also love that about this deck. And that Cancerian energy is each of the suits has been renamed except for cups. And it uses household items. Everything is really kind of connected to what you would be doing in your everyday. The Wheel of Fortune, mama's getting out for a night on the town, getting the hell out of Dodge and throwing a little caution to the wind to have some fun. Ace of Pies, making this beautiful, looks like a quince pie or an apple pie. Here we have Queen of Cups. She's out in nature. She's by the ocean or by the sea. A lot of that blue energy. Blue, I always think blue when I think Cancerian energy. My friend Dwayne from In the Stars would be able to tell you what the colors are for each of the astrology. I'm a novice astrologer person. So it's Stacy's questionable astrology here. But blue always makes me think Cancerian energy. Here we have, the Hanged One. She's turned upside down. I can't tell you how many times I've done that where I'm just so freaking bored of whatever it is that's going on. And I just need to switch something up, but I got shit to do. And that's what you do. You turn your head upside down, listening to different music, looking at the room from a different perspective. This is a great one here. 8 of Cups, like going off. Okay, you just got home from work. I left. I needed to go shopping. I'll see you later. Dinner's in the fridge. Have fun. And he's like, oh shit. I just had a hellish day at work, but here we are. Here's the Hermit card. So this is the title picture of the card deck. Ace of Cups here. So you can see, like a warm cup of coffee or a warm cup of cocoa. Queen energy. Yeah, this is me putting my lipstick on in the car on my way out the door, always with the animal in tow. Temperance. Yes, sitting and looking at the mountain and just really wanting to connect with yourself and connect with nature, connect with the magnificence of everything that is around us and tune out the world. So this deck, very much, this one makes my heart hurt. So this is 5 of Snakes, and Snakes is, in this deck, I think Snakes is air, which is Swords. We'll see in a second, but this makes this the Grief card, right? Which makes total sense. It's not Wands. Oh yeah, that's right. It is air. It is Swords, because Lipstick is Wands. So this is the Grief card, right? 5 of Swords. Oh, sorry, not the Grief card. It's the Conflict card. And it makes a lot of sense. Here she is looking at this couple. We could read it in a couple of ways. One of these people might be her partner. And she's seeing, oh my God, there's a cheating thing happening. And now I'm devastated. This could be that she's just feeling so lonely. And all she sees are happy couples. This could be that she's going through a breakup. And she's seeing a happy couple and she's devastated, right? So you can read into a lot of these situations. Death, someone trying to save her. This guy coming through to try and save her from this major shift or change that is occurring. 10 of Cups, that ideal outcome. And of course, I put that in air quotes because that to me isn't always the ideal outcome. But when we're talking about it from a Cancerian perspective, you're all about hearth and home. Well, here we go. Everything revolves around building that, that nurturing environment where the people that you love can be supported and grow. Wherever you go, you're creating an environment where people feel supported and loved. You're creating this little romantic picnic on the beach, with a bunch of people. You've got enough champagne there for a little party. Here, putting on the makeup, playing, being playful at home. Night, cake of the day, apple pie, baking, right? Baking is very much a nurturing thing. My grandmother used to bake all the time. She would be baking and cooking in the kitchen. It was a very nurturing thing. We were always curious as to what we were going to be opening. When we opened the door to come in, we were always curious as to what we were going to smell because we knew we were going to have a delicious dinner. Miss Ambition, supporting the ones that you love. So yes, everything about this deck screams to me Cancer, the way that Cancers kind of operate, the way Cancers feel about their people, feel about their personal missions in life, how they would like to be seen, how they would like to treat those that they love in their life. And I want to say these cards feel really good to work with. Again, there's a certain level of comfort here. Here we go. Bringing the food out, being generous, in the cold weather, in the storm. So yes, the everyday women tarot, I thought was like, it just screamed Cancer to me. And for those of my Cancer peeps, when I work with this deck, I often think about the ways that you love and express your love out into the world. And this deck definitely, I want to say, embodies that. The third deck that I chose here is the Shaman's Dream Oracle, and this is from Alberto Villoldo and Colette Barron-Reed. And it's illustrated by Jenna Della Grottaglia. I love her imagery. She has done a lot of different things. I have a lot of decks with her talents. And the reason why I chose this for the Cancerian energy is because of like the dreamer aspect of it. We are all sacred dreamers dreaming the world into being. That shaman's dream energy. You know, Cancers, you very much, again, because you're about the hearth and the home, and you're about making that environment a special place, a place where that serves everybody's needs. That means that you have an active dream world too, because when you're dreaming it up, then you say, oh, that would be a great thing to do for, my son or my daughter or my bestie, or my parent. The dream world and the dream state, I feel, is very much a Cancerian space. Also, when we talk about the moon, all of the magic happens at night for you guys. You're ruled by the moon, and the shaman's dream, I feel, just where we're looking at it, moon energy all over the place. So let's kind of take a peek. Again, decent quality. This is a Hay House production. We've got sort of that matte finish. Again, it's easy to work with, but not too fancy, not too over the top, comfortable. And again, when I think Cancer, I think comfortability, covenant, sacred contract. The imagery here, horseman, herald of change. The imagery here has a soft hue to it. And I think of soft hue when I think Cancer. Yeah, emotionally, you guys, just like the rest of us, can get heated and put your stick in the mud about something and get a little worked up about, this or that or the other thing. But I feel like when you're able to ground yourself, then the emotions make more sense, not only to you, but to those around you. You're able to communicate it in a way that others can say, oh, okay, well, I understand now what you meant, or I understand now why you were, getting upset about this or feeling so deeply about this thing. Cancers, you tend to be you take things very personally. I can relate to that because I do too. And I'm not saying you're the only sign that takes things personally, because that's not true. But that is, just kind of a natural part of your chart and part of your divine blueprint. And this deck, I feel, really helps you to feel included, to give you information that makes sense to you, so that it's not so overwhelming that you're overflow, overwhelm, and plenty. I love when I'm talking and the cards, complement the words that are coming out. You also recognize, you feel sometimes like you have to wear many masks because you're always worried about somebody else's nurturing. You're trying to create 50 different environments to serve, 50 different people's whims. And I want to say, don't forget yourself in the mix, right? Don't forget what you might need in order to feel safe and secure and fulfilled in your environment. And this deck definitely gives that. I love this dragon's horde, protecting the future. That's what you do a lot. You love your people so much, you step into more of a protective role, and again, a nurturing role. I love the colors in this deck as well, because it does give almost the feeling of being underwater, but yet it's a shaman's dream oracle deck. So it helps you with that grounding. It helps you to connect that, I want to say, that emotional flow, and give it some substance, so that you feel that you're working through that in the physical, and that it's not so elusive. Cancers, you're good about being in flow, but sometimes you can get a little resentful about not being able to actually bring it into the physical or into the present. I want to say that's a challenge for Cancers, to make things more material, or to make your emotions a little more understandable in general. This deck is going to help you with all of that. And, you know, the descriptions are great. Anytime you have Colette Baron-Reid, I'm a big fan of Colette Baron-Reid's stuff. I always connect with her stuff. Ironically, I don't connect with her when she gives readings and things on YouTube, which is so strange. I think she's great. But I never connect to those things. But man, oh man, do I ever connect to her decks. So I feel like from a Cancer perspective, this is a deck that's really going to help you to find that grounding, to feel seen and heard, to also get the clarity of the guidance that's trying to be communicated to you without you getting frustrated by the fact that the deck isn't understanding you. The deck understands you, and it's going to be very, I want to say, crystal clear in what it presents. And again, it kind of has that underwater feel. Even the above land, above ground pictures, it's almost like you can see these vibrant colors under the water as well. So yes, that is the Shaman's Dream Oracle from Alberto Villoldo and Colette Baron-Reid. And I think it's brilliant for that Cancerian energy. So that is our Divinely Decked for today for this segment. If you're a Cancer, Sun, Moon, or Rising, and you agree with me on these choices, please let me know. If you disagree with these choices, please let me know. Would love to start a dialogue on this. And it was so fun to be able to share this with you guys. As always, going to be more to follow. I'll just continue on doing all of the signs of the astrological wheel from my collection, and we'll just have a little fun and see where it takes us. Until I see you guys for another episode, sending you lots of love, lots of support. We will see you on the flip side, and transform well. That's our show for today. I hope you enjoyed it. It was great to connect with you guys. Please like, subscribe, and comment for more content like this. And feel free to follow me on Blue Sky for even more content every single day. Can't wait to see you guys next week for another installment of Black Feather Couture, Divining the VIP Life.